Good evening. Tonight, on this 10th day of December, the show is Tipping Point with you just in time for it. I am Lincoln Obogo. Our sign language interpreters are Tracy Dorcas and Michael Michael. Now, frontline soldiers in the war against COVID-19 are losing blood in the battlefield, a battlefield in which they are supposed to serve as heroes, but instead are serving like slaves. We are in day 4 of the health workers' strike. It seems the government is not making any moves to sort this quagmire. Instead, the push for the BBI seems to take center stage in all conversations. To answer this question and to help dissect the BBI puzzle, joining me in studio tonight is Nambale Member of Parliament Bunyasi Sakwa and Member of Parliament for Embakasi North James Gakuya, and Charles Bilale, a politician, and Nurdin Kagai, a lawyer and governance expert. Catch a seat and engage us via our SMS line 111 or on my social media handles at Lincoln Obogo and at Switch TV Kenya. And to kick off is our question of the day. Should the Treasury fund the BBI process? Should the Treasury fund the BBI process? Let's keep this show as interactive as possible. We, however, spoke earlier to Nambale Member of Parliament Bunyasi Sakwa, who first reacted to the recent statement by Raila Odinga about the health workers.
Yeah, I saw something like I don't know. I can't quote it verbatim, but I think it was the effect that deaths have been occurring anyway, notwithstanding COVID. I think it was something like that. Is that accurate? It is. Yes. I think that was everybody has a weak moment, and I think certainly that was a weak moment. I think it was a very weak moment on the part of the former Prime Minister. He's normally guarded. I don't know how that came out, but it didn't come out right. He may have meant something different, but just analyzing it as it came out, I think it was not. I think it was not guarded enough as it should have been, because in a sense we were beginning to cheapen not the doctor's importance. We were now in a sense cheapening even the BBI process, to say that something that seeks to provide leadership roles for Kenyans is much more important than the lives now. And as I said at the beginning of this interview, there's nothing now more important in this country than managing the COVID crisis and think about the post-COVID crisis. Because let me assure you, it's going to change the way we relate, it's going to change the way we do things, it's going to change the way our economy will function or not function as it should. So then everything else can follow after we get that under control. We can't keep even a blind eye, as it were. All our focus should be on COVID, and then other things will also follow. I'm not saying we shouldn't do BBI. This can be done in the context. So that statement did not come out well. It's almost indicated that people are not caring about the negative impacts of COVID. And you know, we have had a few countries around the world in which senior people, head of state and others, have sort of been reckless about how they consider the COVID situation, and it's not worked well. America will be one of those that will tell us about it. Boris Johnson, we see the kind of reactions that he was getting. So what you say means something. Senior leaders in our country, I think the words need to be guarded. This is a tweet. Tweets are risky. If it is an audio, you can say that audio is not what I said, but this is a tweet. Yes. Yeah. So far, there's been no explicit appropriation, but I'm sure that they're spending the money from somewhere. And governments have ways sometimes in which they may have resources within the budget, but not explicitly targeted to things. We make big allocations to OP, to security agencies, and so on, as we should, particularly the NIS, but all sorts of the president, for expenditures that are not usually, sometimes not specified. And from those non-specified expenditures, they can probably pick out some money. But as we go to the referendum, as it's formalized at the referendum, there will have to be an appropriation, an explicit appropriation. And hopefully, in the documentation underlying that appropriation, there will be an explicit statement of how much money has now been used and how much more is expected. As you know, IBC has said that a referendum will cost Kenyans, I think he said 14 billion. My numbers may be off, but I think he said 14 billion. and other suggestions that it would be about 1/10 of that, 2 billion or something like that. And you remember that Chebukati said IBC are the ones who know how much it costs. And in fact, he then began to say it will be in the range of 13 to 15 billion. So it's even going to be more than 14 billion. That's a lot of money. Probably Kenya can find that money and spend it. In economics, we talk about opportunity cost. What you would have done with the money as you decide to do something else. For example, you decide to do the referendum with 10 billion or 14 billion, the opportunity cost is what that money could have done. Now, if you look at the strike, the teachers have got, not the teachers, the doctors have got, the medical staff as a whole have got. 10 billion would push the agenda. I don't know how much their demands are, but it would be a significant contribution to meeting those costs. And we would have then attenuated, would have eased off a very difficult situation and eased it off for the Wanjikus in this country. Yes, I've sponsored a bill as an ANC member of parliament, also with the support of my party leader, Musalia Mudavadi, whom, as you know, has been very concerned about economic issues. And we jointly, as a party, we decided that no, it's not just enough to complain about what is not being done. Let us put something on the table that can become a basis for discussion of one way in which you begin to fix these issues. Now, first of all, the public debt management bill will not stop borrowing. The idea is to rationalize, to situate the borrowing in a context in which the economy has been analyzed properly to say these are the most essential expenditures that we as a nation need to have in this short term and medium term and long term. This is what we need to have short term, as in this year, this budget year, medium term, as in the next 3 budget years, they call